All right, let's talk about getting way better results from your coding AI, and here's the secret. It's not about finding a better model, it's all about writing better instructions. We're going to dive deep into something called prompt patterns.
You know that feeling, right? You ask an LLM for help with some code, and what you get back is, well, it's just kind of generic. Or maybe it's just flat out wrong. It's that bland boilerplate code that doesn't really help. Yeah, we've all been there. It's super frustrating. But here's the thing, and this is the big takeaway for today. The problem probably isn't the AI, it's the prompt. It's how we're asking. And by just mastering a few simple patterns, you can take that AI from being a clumsy assistant to, a real high-level partner in your work. So let's get into it.
Okay, first up, the foundational patterns. We're going to start with two patterns that are honestly super easy to learn but have a huge impact. Think of these as the fundamental building blocks for getting immediate control over what the AI gives you. So it really boils down to two simple ideas. You've got the persona pattern, which is all about telling the AI who to be. And then you have the template pattern, which tells the AI what format to use for its answer. Let's look at each one. The persona pattern is like your first big lever for control. Instead of just firing off a question, you're framing the AI's whole point of view. So when you say something like, act as a senior systems architect, you're not just getting code back, you're basically telling it to think about the big picture, trade-offs, scalability, security, all the stuff a real architect would be worrying about. And you can get really specific with this. A generic question might get you code that works, sure, but if you tell the AI you are a JavaScript performance expert, suddenly it's primed to hunt for bottlenecks, suggest optimizations, and really focus on efficiency. It's like you're tapping into this specialized expert that's already living inside the model.
All right, let's look at the other foundational pattern which builds on this idea. The template pattern. This is your secret weapon for getting consistent output every single time. If you need something that another script can read, like say JSON or a markdown table, this is an absolute must. It basically takes the LLM's creativity, which can be a little chaotic sometimes, and forces it into a predictable structure that your tools can understand.
And here's a great real-world example. In Architecture Decision Record, or ADR, you can literally tell the AI to generate one using this exact markdown table structure. And just like that, every single ADR your team creates is going to be consistent, it's going to be clear, and it's going to be ready to go straight into your docs. No more fussing with formatting or finding missing sections. It's awesome.
Okay, so we've told the AI who to be and what format to spit out. Now let's really level up. It's time to control how it actually thinks. This is where things get really interesting and where you unlock some seriously complex problem-solving power.
Now this next one is an absolute game changer. It's called Chain of Thought Prompting, or COT for short. And what it does is, it doesn't just ask for the final answer, it asks the AI to show its work. And by forcing the model to lay out its reasoning step by step, you slash the number of errors and you get this amazing transparent window into its logic. And you know what's crazy? It's so simple to do. You just add a little phrase like think step by step or explain your reasoning right into your prompt. That's it. It's such a tiny change, but it completely shifts how the AI works. It goes from being this mysterious black box to something more like a glass box, where you can see everything that's happening inside. So how does this work with actual code? Well, imagine you're trying to debug some really gnarly C code. With a prompt like this, the AI doesn't just take a wild guess at the bug. No, it walks you through the logic, line by line, tracking variables at every turn, just like a human developer would do with a debugger. It makes understanding and analyzing complex code so much easier. And building on that whole idea of transparency is the reflection pattern. This one's cool. After the AI gives you an answer, you follow up and ask it to justify itself. Why did you pick that framework? What assumptions did you make here? This forces it to do a kind of self-critique, and that can bring some hidden flaws in its thinking right to the surface.
All right, time for the really advanced stuff. The patterns we've looked at so far, they make the AI a better thinker. But these next ones, these give it the power to act in the real world. We're talking about connecting it to live tools and live data.
So let me introduce you to React. It stands for Reason and Act, and yeah, it does exactly what it says on the tin. It's a framework that lets the LLM go beyond just thinking. It lets it use external tools. We're talking search engines, code scanners, any API you can imagine to gather info and get stuff done. So how does it work? Well, it's a loop, and it starts with a thought. This is basically the AI's internal monologue, where it figures out a plan. It might think something like, okay, I need to check this project's dependencies for any known security vulnerabilities.
Then, based on that thought, it performs an action. And the action is a command that it sends to a tool. It might look something like this command here, telling a security scanner to check a requirements file. It's actually doing something out there in the real world, outside its own brain.
Next, it gets back an observation. This is just the result from the tool it used. So the security scanner might come back and say, hey, I found a vulnerability in Library X version 1.2. And just like that, the AI has brand new external information to work with.
And then the cycle just repeats. The AI sees the vulnerability, and its next thought might be, okay, I need to find a patch for this. Its next action is to search for a new version. You see how it works? It's this powerful, iterative loop that lets it solve really complex, multi-step problems using actual feedback from the real world.
And this whole idea leads us to one of the most powerful applications out there, Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG. What RAG does is it lets the AI read your own project's documentation, your specific, up-to-date docs, before it even tries to answer a question. This is huge because it grounds the AI's response in the facts of your codebase, which massively cuts down on those weird hallucinations and makes its answers super relevant to you.
Okay, let's pull all of this together. When you start mastering these patterns, you're not just getting better answers, you're fundamentally changing your relationship with the AI. You stop being someone who just asks questions, and you become a director, guiding a really powerful collaborator.
So here it is, your new prompting playbook, all boiled down. First, you set the persona. Who is the AI? Then, define the output with a template. What should the answer look like? Guide its thinking with chain of thought. How does it get there? And finally, give it superpowers by connecting it to tools with something like React. What can it actually do?
At the end of the day, this isn't about just getting slightly better code snippets. It's about a whole new way of working. Think of these patterns as the new user interface for a really sophisticated partnership between you, the developer, and the AI.
Look, this knowledge really does transform the AI from just a tool into a genuine partner. So I guess the only question left to ask is, now that you've got the playbook, what are you going to build?